World News: 3 Indians who went missing in Iran after kidnapping rescued by police. 3 Indian men who had gone missing in Iran have been rescued by Tehran police, the Iranian embassy in India claimed on Tuesday. 3 missing Indian citizens freed by Tehran police. Local media in Iran say police have found and released 3 Indian men who had gone missing in Iran, the Iranian embassy said in its X post. According to a report by Iran's Mehr news agency MNA, the kidnapping of the 3 Indian men was reported to Tehran police on May 1. Saudi issues advisory for pilgrims to avoid heat-related incidents during Hajj. Saudi authorities issued an advisory for pilgrims to avoid heat-related incidents by staying inside their camps during a certain duration of the day. The Ministry of Hajj and Umrah on Wednesday warned pilgrims to remain in their camps and away from direct sun between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. on Wednesday, June 4, and Thursday, June 5, to avoid any heat-related incidents. This year, authorities have increased mitigation measures after 1,301 pilgrims died last year as temperatures reached 51.8 degrees Celsius (125.2 Fahrenheit). This year, authorities have mobilized more than 40 government agencies and 250,000 officials, doubling their efforts against heat-related illness following the lethal heatwave of 2024. Shaded areas have been expanded by 50,000 square meters, 12 acres. Thousands more medics will be on standby, and more than 400 cooling units will be deployed, Saudi Arabia's Hajj Minister Tawfiq Al-Rabia told AFP last week. The ministry has repeatedly advised pilgrims to avoid direct sun exposure as much as possible, use protective umbrellas and drink plenty of fluids. They have also been advised to pray Dhuhr and Asr prayers inside their tents and refrain from visiting Masjid Namira or Jabal al-Rahma during this period. Pilgrims must also try to use buses or trains to travel to the Muzdalitat instead of walking. On Monday, with temperatures topping 40 degrees Celsius, the health ministry said 44 cases of heatstroke had already been treated. The latest artificial intelligence technology will also help monitor the flood of data and footage, including video from a new fleet of drones, from across Makkah to better manage the mammoth crowds. South Korea elects Liberal candidate Lee Jae-myung as new president. South Korea's Liberal Party candidate, Lee Jae-myung, was elected president in Tuesday's snap election, 6 months to the day after he evaded military cordons to vote against a shock martial law decree imposed by his ousted predecessor. Lee's victory stands to usher in a political sea change in Asia's 4th largest economy, after the backlash against the martial law brought down Yoon Suk-yeol, the conservative outsider who narrowly beat Lee in the 2022 election. Nearly 80% of South Korea's 44.39 million eligible voters cast their ballots, the highest turnout for a presidential election in the country since 1997, with Lee terming the polls, Judgment Day, against Yoon's martial law and the People Power Party's failure to distance itself from that decision. With more than 99% of the votes counted, the Democratic Party's Lee stood at 49.3% to PPP candidate Kim Moon-soo's 41.3%, according to National Election Commission data. A subdued Kim conceded the race and congratulated Lee in brief remarks to reporters. Lee had long been favored to win, and his supporters erupted in cheers as exit polls by the country's major broadcasters showed him defeating Kim by wide margins. In a brief speech to supporters gathered outside Parliament after the polls closed, Lee said he would fulfill the duties of the office and bring unity to the country. "We can overcome this temporary difficulty with the combined strength of our people, who have great capabilities," he said. He also vowed to revive the economy and seek peace with nuclear-armed North Korea through dialogue and strength. The martial law decree and the 6 months of ensuing turmoil, which saw 3 different acting presidents and multiple criminal insurrection trials for Yoon and several top officials, marked a stunning political self-destruction for the former leader and effectively handed the presidency to his main rival. Yoon was impeached by the Lee-led parliament, then removed from office by the Constitutional Court in April, less than 3 years into his 5-year term, triggering the snap election that now stands to remake the country's political leadership and foreign policies of a key U.S. ally. Lee has accused the PPP of having condoned the martial law attempt by not fighting harder to thwart it and even trying to save Yoon's presidency. Kim was Yoon's labor minister when the former president declared martial law on December 3. "I was here on December 3 after martial was declared and December 14 when Yoon was impeached," said Choi Mi-jung, 55, a science teacher who gathered outside Parliament to hear Lee speak. "Now Lee Jae-myung is becoming president. I hope he will become a leader who supports ordinary people, not vested interests, not a small number of riches." 27 killed in Israeli attacks on US-backed Gaza Aid Center, agency to close temporarily. Aid centers in hunger-racked Gaza will temporarily close on Wednesday, a controversial US-backed agency said, with the Israeli army warning roads leading to distribution stations are considered combat zones. 27 people were killed in southern Gaza on Tuesday when Israeli troops opened fire near one of the centers operated by the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. Israel recently eased its blockade of the Palestinian enclave, but the UN has said the entire population remains at risk of famine. The UN Security Council will vote Wednesday on a resolution calling for a ceasefire and humanitarian access to Gaza, a measure expected to be vetoed by the United States. The GHF said its distribution centers will be closed for renovation, reorganization and efficiency improvement work on Wednesday and would resume operations on Thursday. The Israeli army, which confirmed the temporary closure, warned against traveling on roads leading to the distribution centers, which are considered combat zones. The GHF, officially a private effort with opaque funding, began operations a week ago, but the UN and major aid groups have refused to cooperate with it over concerns it was designed to cater to Israeli military objectives. Following Tuesday's deadly incident near one of GHF's centers, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres decried the killing of Palestinians seeking food aid as unacceptable. Israeli authorities and the GHF, which uses contracted U.S. security, have denied allegations that the Israeli army shot at civilians rushing to pick up aid packages at GHF sites. The Israeli army has said the incident is under investigation. Magnitude 5.6 earthquake hits parts of Indonesia. An earthquake of magnitude 5.6 struck the West Papua region in Indonesia, the GFZ reported. The quake hit the country at 3:43 a.m. local time. There was no tsunami threat. 17-year-old Pakistani TikToker Sana Yusuf killed after, repeatedly, rejecting stalker. A famous Pakistani TikToker, Sana Yusuf, was killed on Monday after a man opened fire on the internet personality near her home, local media outlets reported. Sana, a 17-year-old, who was known for her lifestyle and fashion content, was in her Islamabad G13 sector home where the incident took place. According to police reports, she was fatally shot by a guest who had come to visit her at her residence. He fired multiple rounds of shots and fled the scene immediately. Abu Dhabi Sheikh Zayed Festival fireworks. According to police reports, she was fatally shot by a guest who had come to visit her at her residence. He fired multiple rounds of shots and fled the scene immediately. Sana Yusuf tragically succumbed to her gunshot wounds at the scene and was pronounced dead. Her body has been shifted to Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences (PIMS) for post-mortem, as per media reports. Following her death, police immediately launched a manhunt to locate the attacker. Initially, the motive behind the murder remained unclear. However, after further investigation, authorities revealed that a 22-year-old suspect had been arrested in connection with the crime. The suspect had been loitering outside Yusuf's home for several hours prior to the shooting. It was a case of repeated rejections. The boy was trying to reach out to her time and again, Islamabad Police Chief Syed Ali Nasir Rizvi said during a news conference. Elon Musk blasts Trump mega bill, days after farewell. Elon Musk on Tuesday hammered U.S. President Donald Trump's proposed spending bill as a disgusting abomination, as tensions between the pair burst into the open following the tech billionaire's White House exit. Musk left his role as an official government employee last week, lauded by Trump for spearheading a federal spending cuts program, but disagreements between the duo have been building. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination, Musk posted on X, in by far his most caustic remarks on Trump's spending plans. It was not Musk's first comments on Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill, which is set to add $3 million to U.S. deficits over a 10-year horizon, despite deep cuts to health and food aid programs. But Musk's previous criticism was restrained, with the ex-head of Trump's Department of Government Efficiency DOGE task force offering only that it undermined his cost-cutting efforts. On Tuesday he said that the bill, being considered by Congress, would burden citizens with crushingly unsustainable debt. The escalation in rhetoric indicated bitter hostilities between the White House and Musk, who donated almost $300 million to Trump's election campaign but has recently voiced frustrations. The president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill, it doesn't change his opinion, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters in a rapid response to Musk's tweet. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. Moscow poses no threat to Britain, says Russia's UK embassy. Russia's embassy in London said on Tuesday that Moscow had no intention of attacking Britain, rejecting accusations by the British government of growing aggression and daily cyber attacks. Britain said on Monday it would radically change its approach to defense to address new threats, including from Russia, after endorsing the findings of an independently produced strategic defense review. After unveiling the defense overhaul on Monday, Healey said Europe was facing war, growing Russian aggression, new nuclear risks and daily cyber attacks. Russia's embassy issued a statement on Tuesday criticizing what it described as a fresh salvo of anti-Russian rhetoric. Russia poses no threat to the United Kingdom and its people, the statement said. We harbor no aggressive intentions and have no plans to attack Britain. We are not interested in doing so, nor do we need to. Relations between Russia and Britain are at their lowest level since the Cold War. They deteriorated further after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, and Britain and other NATO members have provided large amounts of military aid and other support to Kyiv. China's embassy in London also criticized Britain's defense review, saying in a statement on Tuesday that the document deliberately misrepresented Beijing's defense policy to justify British military expansion. The review had described China as a sophisticated and persistent challenge, citing its rapid military modernization, including an expanded nuclear arsenal, and saying Beijing was likely using espionage and cyber attacks, and stealing intellectual property.